Do you find it confusing pronouncing words like flown versus clown? Let's break down the letters OW and the sounds they make to help you pronounce these words correctly and accurately. So in English, we don't have one-to-one correspondence. So we don't have one sound for one letter or one letter for one sound. We do have patterns and rules, but sometimes letters or pairs of letters have to stand for multiple sounds. This one is fairly straightforward in that the letters OW typically only say O, the O diphthong, or OW, the OW diphthong. I usually rewrite those as OH for O, like in flown, know, and go, or as OW for OW. Sometimes I'll write AU for OW, but we don't actually spell those that way. But this is more typical for other languages because it's the ah and the oo, ow sound. Both of these are sliding sounds. We'll talk about that in a moment. So there's no rule, unfortunately. I can't tell you it's always going to be O in these words and ow in these words based on any pattern or rule. So this is one that you'll just have to memorize which ones say O and which ones say ow. Typically in the US or in English-speaking countries, kids have to learn spelling, so they'll just have to memorize, and you can do the same. It's typically looking at memorization is the best way for these. Let's go through and look at some of the differences. So one good thing is that when we have words like flown, it's not going to change between flow and flown. Unlike some other patterns in English, typically if a word is in the O category, then all the variants of that word will be. For example, grow, grown, growth, all of these have the O sound. So when you learn grow, you know that grown and growth will be the same. One exception, the word know and known stays in the O side, but when we change to knowledge, it changes over to the ah side. Knowledge. Knowledge. Actually, it doesn't fit into this category either. I made an error. So this is an exception. Knowledge has the ah sound. So yeah, even for me, preparing for this, spelling can mess you up, but thinking about just learning that that's an exception, that when I am talking about my knowledge of something, it changes to an ah sound. So generally speaking, also the same thing happens for the ow. If it's ow in one word, like the word brow has the ow, also same with the word brown. These tend to be not words that are different forms of a verb, like grow and growth and grown, or different forms of the same, a verb changing into other parts of speech. So we have just fewer of those types of patterns here. But we have the ow sound in words like how, now, brown, cow, clown, etc. So I would advise you to work on the ow words first. Recognize that those are different than the O words, and then shift over and learn and work on the O words like flow and flown. I've included some where the O is in the middle and at the end, and then also we have some where the O is a little bit shorter. In a word like pillow, the O is a little bit shorter. It's still the same sound, but it's unstressed. In below, that's just like the word low, where the O syllable is stressed, below. So the B syllable is shorter there. Once you have practiced and kind of looked at these sets of words, it's a great idea to quiz yourself when we're trying to acquire new information and new learning. If you just review and say the words and look at them and have them in front of you sorted out, your brain might not actually learn that and focus on categorizing them. So you can make yourself some flashcards. You can look at individual words, try to use them in a sentence, and just quickly say the word and then decide, is it an O or an ow? And then check, see if you're right. In the dictionary, you'll see the ow symbol for the ow words and the O symbol for the O words. If you'd like to learn more about diphthongs, the pronunciation of vowel sounds, you can check that out here in our Sounds of English playlist or our vowels playlist. let's just do a quick test and a quick quiz for you to see if testing your knowledge helps you. Some of these are going to be obvious and you know them, others not so much. So let's try this word. Is this an O word or an ow word? Say it out loud, then use it in a sentence. Blown. The leaves are blown all over the driveway. Okay, so that's an O word. We'll move it here. Let's try this one. How about say the word, use it in a short sentence. Wow, this is harder than I thought. That's an ow word. If you said ow, you were correct. Let's do another one. Say the word, use it in a sentence. Allow, I'm not allowed to go out at night. Allow. So that's an ow word. So even though we had those other words with OW like pillow and below were O words, in this case, allow, it's still the LOW, but it's an ow sound instead, allow. Let's try another one. Okay, and one thing that when you're trying it, if you say it both ways, it'll probably sound, one way will sound correct to you. So if I say shown, doesn't sound quite right. Shown, I can hear, yeah, that's like own, owner, shown, so it's an O word. Let's try this one. Okay, so try it as shower, shower. Yep, shower. I take a shower every morning. It's the ow sound. So that's just a simple example of trying to test yourself and seeing if that makes a difference in how you learn. When you're first approaching the topic, may not help, but I would say it's a great thing to do after you've taken a look at and reviewed some word lists. Then take away this information here at the top and let yourself try it out for good. One other quick piece of information I'd like to share is that, like I said, we don't have one letter for every sound. We also don't have one sound for every letter. So even though the ow is often spelled with OW and the O is often spelled with OW, we have other spellings for these sounds. So the O sound can also be spelled with just the letter O, like in go or no. It can be spelled with an O and an E at the end, like in note or code. And another common spelling for O is OA, like in road or coat. So even though this can be confusing, how do I spell O? How do I know how to spell in a certain word? Learning the patterns, the most likely combinations for O are OA or O plus an E, because it follows the double letter spelling rule. So O plus another letter together make the O sound, that diphthong O. And then same thing for ow. We have other spellings besides the ow of clown or frown. For example, we have OU, like in noun, or about, or around. So most typically for ow, we spell it with OW or OU. When you learn those combinations and you have learned specific words, that's very helpful, because of course OU can be other sounds as well. It's kind of a tricky web between what the letters are and what the sounds are. But oftentimes you are actually already pronouncing these words correctly. And when you focus in on what sound you're hearing and matching it to another sound, that can be very helpful. So I hope this helped you with the letters OW, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Do check out our vowels playlist for more in-depth information about sounds and spelling.